Bang, bang. Maybe.
Aryna Sabalenka sits atop the world rankings, with 4 Grand Slam titles, and has established herself as the most dominant player in women's tennis.
Sabalenka.
In November 2025, she publicly challenged Nike, urging the company.
Yeah, I mean, this dress was kind of like, let's say, together work, me and Nike. I just threw a bunch of ideas I had, and I was able to push them to give me...
Meanwhile, a 20-year-old Filipina ranked well below her arrived at Nike's world headquarters in Oregon, collaborated with the brand's design team for several days, and unveiled a custom collection inspired by the Philippines' national flower. The release reportedly sold out in about 60 seconds. There was no public campaign, no pressure, and no social media appeal directed at the company that sponsored her. The contrast was impossible to ignore. While the world's #1 was publicly calling for change, Alexandra Eala was quietly receiving a level of creative collaboration that few athletes ever experience.
No thoughts, no emotions. Just wanna quit tennis right now.
By June 3, 2026, the contrast had become impossible to ignore. As Aryna Sabalenka sat in the Paris press room, visibly emotional and admitting she had considered stepping away from the sport, months of conversation about her relationship with Nike suddenly carried far more weight. Alexandra Eala's partnership with Nike tells a very different story. A Nike athlete since 2019, Eala's relationship with the brand remained relatively quiet until late 2025, when Nike invited her to its world headquarters in Beaverton, Oregon. There, she spent several days working alongside the company's design team to create the Sampaguita collection, a custom Nike by You release inspired by the Philippines' national flower, complete with a matching floral hair accessory. Eala shared moments from the trip on Instagram, with a simple caption celebrating her Nike family. At the time, many observers viewed it as nothing more than a routine brand activation. Looking back, it appears far more significant. It demonstrated Nike's willingness to invest in a young rising star through a personalized collaboration rarely offered to athletes. Around the same period, Sabalenka was publicly expressing frustration over her own apparel situation. In a promotional interview released in November 2025, the world #1 explained that she wanted her on-court outfits to feel unique rather than widely available. Smiling, she joked that fans should send messages to Nike and put some pressure on the company. Her comments reflected a broader desire shared by many top-ranked athletes to have signature apparel that feels distinctly their own. That discussion resurfaced months later, during the 2026 clay court season. As Roland Garros approached, Sabalenka debuted a new Nike outfit that many fans assumed would be exclusive to her tournament campaign. Shortly afterward, photos circulated online showing another Nike-sponsored player wearing the same design during practice. The images spread quickly across social media, fueling debate among tennis fans about exclusivity, athlete branding, and Nike's approach to apparel partnerships. Meanwhile, Eala arrived in Paris wearing a bright pink Nike outfit that immediately attracted attention across Filipino tennis communities. Her social media posts generated enthusiastic reactions, while interest in her previously released Sampaguita collection remained exceptionally strong. Reports indicated that the limited edition collection sold out almost immediately after launch, with resale listings appearing soon afterward. Taken together, the two stories highlighted very different approaches to athlete branding. On one side was the reigning world #1 publicly discussing her desire for more exclusive apparel. On the other was one of tennis' fastest rising young stars collaborating directly with Nike on a culturally inspired collection that generated significant excitement among fans. Whether intentional or not, the contrast sparked months of discussion throughout the tennis world about sponsorship strategy, athlete identity, and how brands decide where to invest their biggest creative efforts. The conversation also extends beyond a single tournament. Reports have suggested that modern Nike endorsement agreements differ substantially from some of the landmark contracts signed in previous generations. Earlier stars were often associated with highly exclusive signature collections and broader commercial rights, while today's agreements can place greater emphasis on collaborative campaigns, limited releases, and market-specific activations. Those differences continue to fuel debate among fans whenever apparel launches become part of the story, not just because of what athletes wear, but because of what those choices may say about a brand's long-term vision. The fallout was immediate. After a similar apparel controversy years earlier, Maria Sharapova's team reportedly secured stronger protections over the timing and exclusivity of her on-court outfits. From then on, her tournament looks were closely tied to her own debut before becoming widely available. That episode became one of the most frequently cited examples of how elite athletes can shape the terms of their endorsement deals. Fast forward to 2026, and many fans drew comparisons as Aryna Sabalenka publicly expressed frustration over her own apparel situation. Whether those concerns ultimately lead to changes in her agreement remains to be seen. Then came Roland Garros. Sabalenka entered Paris as one of the tournament favorites, but her campaign ended in heartbreaking fashion. After taking the opening set of her quarterfinal, the momentum shifted dramatically. The match slipped away, and so did the opportunity to defend her title hopes. In the emotional press conference that followed, Sabalenka admitted she was struggling mentally, saying she felt like she wanted to step away from tennis before adding that she hoped to regain her focus in the days ahead. It was one of the most vulnerable moments of her season, and immediately became one of the tournament's defining headlines. At the very same event, Alexandra Eala's story was moving in the opposite direction. The young Filipina continued attracting attention both on and off the court. Fans packed social media with photos of her Nike apparel, while excitement surrounding her limited edition Sampaguita collection remained exceptionally strong. For supporters who had followed her journey, from her early breakthrough performances to her visit to Nike headquarters, none of it felt accidental. They believed Nike had already identified Eala as one of the company's most important long-term investments. Tennis rankings measure performance on the court. Brands measure something different. They look at engagement, cultural impact, merchandise demand, and the ability to connect with new audiences around the world. Those are the metrics that determine where future marketing resources are invested. Industry reporting has suggested that Sabalenka's representatives have discussed changes to her apparel agreement in hopes of better reflecting her status as the world's top-ranked player. Whether those discussions ultimately result in a revised deal remains unknown, but the conversation itself highlights the growing importance of athlete branding in modern tennis. At the same time, Nike's women's roster has continued to evolve, with several leading players choosing other apparel partners in recent years. That changing landscape has intensified competition among sportswear companies as they search for the next global superstar. Within that environment, Eala represents more than an emerging tennis talent. She represents access to one of the fastest-growing sports markets in the world. Her popularity throughout the Philippines and across the global Filipino community gives Nike an opportunity to reach millions of passionate supporters whose connection extends beyond tennis itself. For many fans, seeing a Filipina athlete receive a culturally inspired signature collection carried meaning that went far beyond apparel. That emotional connection is difficult to manufacture. And from a business perspective, it is incredibly valuable. As Sabalenka's current Nike agreement approaches its reported expiration, attention will naturally shift toward what comes next. Will Nike strengthen its commitment to the world number one with a more exclusive apparel strategy? Or will both sides decide a fresh start makes more sense? The answer may become clearer during the upcoming grass court season. Fans will be watching each new apparel reveal, every tournament appearance, and every commercial announcement for clues about where the relationship is headed. Meanwhile, Eala continues building momentum. Just days before Roland Garros, she suffered an early defeat in her final warm-up event. Instead of allowing that loss to define her, she regrouped in Paris and delivered another statement victory over a top-ranked opponent, proving once again that setbacks can disappear quickly when confidence returns. That resilience has become one of the defining characteristics of her rise. Taken together, these parallel stories reveal something fascinating about modern professional tennis. The world #1 ranking reflects excellence on the court. Commercial influence is measured by an entirely different scoreboard. One is earned through victories and trophies. The other is built through audience connection, market appeal, and long-term brand value. Right now, both Aryna Sabalenka and Alex Eala are winning, but in very different arenas. The next chapter will unfold over the coming months as new apparel launches, sponsorship decisions, and on-court performances shape the future of both athletes. One thing is certain, this conversation is far from over.